The theme for this year is Romans 12, chapter 1 through 2, 1 and 2. And it goes like this. I urge you, then, brothers, remembering the mercies of God, to offer your bodies as living sacrifice, dedicated and acceptable to God. That is the kind of worship for you as sensible people. Do not model your behavior on the contemporary world, but let the renewing of your minds transform you, so that you may discern for yourselves what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and mature. And so the theme for this year is to renewing of your mind from within. And the reason I realize that, because I see how as my mind is renewing over the last 22 years or so, I'm more mature in the way I deal with life. I see things clearer now, and I'm understanding what's really going on, the spiritual aspect of what is happening. And I see that the world, the intellectual people, their minds, as all of our minds are foolish to the things of God. It cannot discern the things of God. And so their mind are as far from God as the West is from the East. And what I notice is that they are trying to solve our problems in a physical way with outer things, entitlement programs, wars. They're having wars, thinking that that's going to solve the problems. They're offering more free stuff. They are fighting against the races. Just everything is going on. Oh, they're giving us more medication. They are trying to ban our rights to bear arms. All this stuff that they are doing in their minds, they think that that's going to help us. That's going to help society. And they are so foolish in what they are doing that they don't have the common sense to even look back and see that they have been doing it this way for years, and things are only getting worse. They are not getting better at all. They're getting worse. It's foolish to think that you can prevent good citizens from protecting themselves in their own homes or even out in the world by taking their, guns away from them. But in their minds, they believe that that's the right thing to do. At least I think that they do, because otherwise, why would they keep doing the same things over and over again? And it's to the point now, I don't know if you heard that last week, a newspaper up in New York, in the New York area, printed the names and addresses of all the gun owners in the neighborhood. Isn't that amazing? With the intent to intimidate and prevent these people from protecting themselves. And when they did this, it caused me to realize, well, in a way, this may be a good thing, because if the criminal look and see my name and my address and see that I'm loaded in my house, that I have a gun, and then they see my neighbor next door and they're not on that list, whose house you think they're going to go to? You know what I'm saying? So they are so foolish in the way that they do things, all they ever do is create more problems. There are more people on medication than ever before in history. Everybody and their mama are taking antidepressant pills. They take pills to feel better. They take pills to feel bad. They take pills to go to sleep, and they take pills to wake up. They take pills to look at you or not to look at you. And it's getting worse. And these people are like psychotic in the way they see life, and they'll kill you because they have enough emotional problem with the inability of handling stress that when they're high on these pills or feeling low on them, you put a little stress on them, it's over. And it's crazy to see this happening. And I have to tell you, as a witness, the best way to learn is from within. We got to renew the mind from within, because it's not going to ever happen from without. It's just not the way it's set up. It's never going to happen. You become a nut. You get worse when you do it that way. You got to learn to. And right now, few people know how to deal with stress. And the reason that they don't know how to deal with stress is because they're so outwardly. They're reading and writing and running around and being crazy and stuff like that. And stress is just, weighing them down and driving them nuts. And so until we can, my desire, and hopefully all you people will help me, we got to be an example of that, and then tell people they got to calm down and go within so that their minds can be renewed. Otherwise, it's over for our society. I read a report where the government is saying that college education, I believe maybe it's not just for blacks, but I think they said black people are not working. And so now they want to go back to trade schools or junior college. I don't know if they necessarily said trade school, but the government want to give junior colleges around the country buku money so that these black kids can learn a trade because they have not been successful in getting a college education. And I'm thinking to myself, trade school is the first way to go anyhow. Even if you decide to get a college education, if you know how to work with your hands, you're going to always have food on your table. But everybody and their mama are coming out of colleges with no job waiting for them. No job. So we're going to renew the mind from within this year. How about that? Yes. And we're going to, before we end today, I want to tell you how to do it. And once you lock into how to do it, it is amazing. It's amazing. You won't go with the world. You won't be depressed about your situation. You won't allow stress to overtake you. You would see that the government and all these folks are setting you up for failure and won't go with it. And we need this right now because stress is prevalent in most people's lives. And anger and resentment and all of that stuff. And families, all races of family, but not all families, all right, screw up today. You can't even look at them and they won't go off. I was looking at one of my cousins the other day, and she's like, "What are you looking at?" I'm like, "Totally nothing." I'm looking at you, but I'm looking at nothing. She's getting mad because I'm looking at her. But that's because, and I know her situation, she's totally stressed out. She doesn't know how to deal with it. And it's going on from generation to generation. Stress is supposed to make us better in life, not to destroy us. But if it gets inside of you, it will destroy you. And the reason that it gets inside of you is because you have anger. You're open to the world. You're really open to it. You can't take criticism. People can't look at you. If someone tells you the truth about yourself, you get mad right away. I was talking to a young lady last Sunday, and she asked me, I'm a manager at my business. I try to tell my employees the right way to do a thing, to take care of a project, and they take it personally. And all I'm doing is trying to help them make the thing work, and they're taking it personally. What do I do? And I just said to her, you know what? Just let them get mad. You tell them the truth anyway, and don't get mad at them. And then eventually, if they don't do the job, fire them. And this year, I want the children of God to be ahead of the children of Satan. I don't want us always catching up. We have to be like on a mountaintop, seeing what the children of Satan are doing, and then we have to get ahead of them so before they take away everything that we have, including our rights in this great country. Another thing, and then I'll take some questions, is that religion has screwed us up. We have been had. We have had preachers standing in the pulpit guilty as sin, and they've just shoved knowledge down our throat of good, and it has not done anything good for us, but made us judge ourselves, judge others, hate ourselves, hate others, condemn folks. It has not made us free. Have you noticed that? Everybody and their mama know the Bible. They go to church, and yet they're messed up. Religion has set us up for total destruction. It's worse than the secular knowledge we get in these universities and places. It just builds the ego, and it doesn't do anything good for us. And I realize it's because the preachers are not insightful. They're not inspired. They're no different than a college professor. And then they don't know how to handle their own situations in life. And we're just going around here judging one another, judging everybody, judging ourselves, and it's screwing us up. Is there anywhere in the Bible where God says that we should judge ourselves? Is that in the Bible anywhere? No one knows?
It's not.
It's not in the Bible, right? And yet people judge themselves. You know how sometimes you get angry at yourself for making a mistake or doing wrong or feeling bad? You're judging yourself. And you don't have a right to do that. But the reason that you're doing it is because your parents have been an example of that. And you've been told by religion that, oh, if you overeat, if you have too much of this or that, you are wrong, and you need to repent, and you need to judge yourself. And that's why we're doing it, and it's doing nothing but keeping us down. You have no right to judge yourself. None. It's never going to help you. And that's why you're not getting better in life. That's why when you start to renew your mind from within, there is no judgment on your part. It's only observation of what's going on without the decision of right and wrong. That's how you want to live. God is the only judge. The ego doesn't understand the mind of God either, right, because it's Satan's nature. And Satan has no understanding about what is right. It's not in his nature. And so that's why the ego can't comprehend what I'm saying. God won't allow it to. God wants you separated from it so you become his. Because if the ego understood the things of God, then they will become one and you'll really be messed up. So you have an evil nature and a good, right? And so you want to be separated from that so you can recognize the good that's in God, that's in you. So it can't understand it. That's why it's not good to even try to make yourself understand it, but to overcome it simply by observing it. This person that I was talking to, and I said to him, evil is in the eye of the beholder. He was like so blown away. He was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do now. I'm not going to let her come over here. I'm the evil one. He had me rolling. He was just so funny in the way that he handled that. But I'm telling you, this year, you got to renew your mind from within. You got to have that quiet time so you can find that quiet, still place within you where God is within us, and you can start living. Well, if you listen to this, man, and right now, it appears that things are really getting bad in the physical world around us. A couple of friends of mine went to a gun show yesterday, and they were telling me that everybody and their mama were there, buying up everything they can buy. And I'm like, it sounds like they're getting ready for Armageddon or something. But all the ammunitions and guns and rifles and everything. And so something is coming down the pipe, and folks are getting ready, except for the black people. I'm sorry to say that. Because I asked, were there many blacks at the gun show? They're like, yeah, one or two. And the reason that the blacks were not there, not all, but most, they've been brainwashed. They've been dumbed down. They go with color and not with what's going on spiritually. And so they've been locked into a physical thing. And so if something does go down, they're going to be wiped out first, but they don't realize it. They have no respect for the Second Amendment, even though in their neighborhoods, They need the Second Amendment more than anybody else. If anybody should be supporting the Second Amendment, it should be every black person in this country. Because in their neighborhood, the gang members are loaded, heavily armed. But they listen to people based on color instead of spiritually what's right, that they're missing it. When I was growing up, I never knew my household without a gun. I never knew it without a gun. But because we were not into the color thing at the time, we were into protecting our families and doing the right thing. But black people, I warn you, you better be trying to have some sense, some common sense. Because Satan is on a warpath right now. He really is. I don't know what's going to happen, but I can sense things are just in the world falling apart. And if we believe in God, we should not be drawn into it. Really. We should not have to go down with the world. Because greater is he that's in us than he that's in the world. But the only way I think that that's not going to happen is that you got to go within and live from within. Now, here's how you do it in the few minutes that I have left here. Can you hear that fire truck or something? You got to become quiet within yourself. You got to sit still when you pray so that God can allow you to truly see yourself. Put no more effort into it. He wants to separate you from that ego nature, which is of your father, the devil. And when you sit still, spend time to yourself, you'll start to see. The more time you can spend to yourself, with yourself, away from TV and radio. And I'm not saying that you have to all day long sit in the house and do nothing. But you need that time where you can just see what's going on up here. And that is not your friend. You really do. You got to be honest with yourself, because you're going to start seeing how the mindset of evil is working you over time. You start seeing that, and then you become amazed by it. You're like, wow, I had no idea that I was so into that. And the more you see it, you're going to worship God by having such an appreciation for it. Things are just going to start working out. Don't worry about anything. Don't put your will into it. But you got to sit still and know him. I told the congregation here a couple weeks ago for 1 week to spend more time to yourself as possible. And a friend of mine got busier. He won't sit still for a second. You know, he'll find somewhere to go. He would just busy doing nothing. There's a busybody. I'm like, wow. It's hard with the ego, as Ed was saying, it's hard for that ego to calm down. But you got to let it happen. You got to take the pain of it, all right? Overcome your anger, forgive so that God can forgive you. You have no right to be judging. Until you are able to say to yourself, I can cast this stone, then you'll be free. And I don't see that happening anytime soon. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. You can get involved by calling 800-411-2663, 800-411-BOND,